Africa's youth set to drive the economy. By 2050, the number of young people in Africa is expected to double to nearly 830 million. This presents a unique opportunity for the continent to harness the potential of its youth to drive economic growth, innovation, and social transformation. Africa, home to more than 1.3 billion people, is the world's youngest continent with around 60% of its population under the age of 25. And by 2050, the number of young people is expected to almost double to 830 million, presenting both an extraordinary opportunity and a challenge for the continent's future. The ability of Africa to harness this demographic power will determine whether the youthful population becomes a catalyst for economic growth, innovation, and social transformation, or whether it deepens existing struggles with unemployment and inequality. The promise of a demographic dividend lies in the fact that a large working-age population can accelerate growth when fewer dependents rely on them, creating an environment that encourages higher productivity, increased investment, and rising savings. Africa's median age of about 19, compared to 35 in North America and 42 in Europe, suggests the continent is positioned to reap such a dividend, but the benefit will not materialize automatically and requires sustained investment in education, skills development, and job creation. The United Nations Development Programme estimates that if Africa equips its youth with the right opportunities, the demographic dividend could generate up to $500 billion annually for 3 decades, equivalent to 1/3 of the continent's current GDP, a figure that underscores both the scale of the opportunity and the risks of inaction. Unemployment remains one of the most pressing obstacles, with millions of young people entering the labor market each year, while only a fraction secure formal employment. The African Development Bank reports that between 10 and 12 million youth join the labor market annually, but just 3 million jobs are created, leaving many to rely on informal and insecure work. Beyond unemployment, underemployment remains widespread, with countless young people engaged in low-paying roles that fail to match their skills or potential. Bridging this gap demands a deliberate alignment of education with market needs, ensuring that young Africans are not only literate but equipped for industries that are expanding rapidly in the global economy. The Fourth Industrial Revolution adds urgency to this task, as artificial intelligence, robotics, biotechnology, and digital systems redefine how economies function. African youth will need competencies in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, as well as in digital literacy, problem-solving, and entrepreneurship, to remain competitive in this shifting landscape. Encouraging examples are already emerging. Rwanda's One Laptop Per Child initiative integrates digital skills into early education. South Africa's National Youth Service emphasizes STEM training. And Kenya has invested in digital innovation hubs that give young people a platform to design solutions for local and global markets. Entrepreneurship has also become a defining feature of Africa's youth economy, driven by necessity as much as by ambition, with many young Africans transforming limited resources into enterprises that tackle pressing challenges in finance, agriculture, healthcare, and renewable energy. Reports by GEN Africa show that African youth are twice as likely to be engaged in early-stage entrepreneurship as their global peers, and startups like Flutterwave, Paystack, and Twiga Foods demonstrate how innovation born on the continent can scale across borders, creating jobs while reshaping industries. Even so, young entrepreneurs often face barriers such as lack of access to finance, limited mentorship, and weak support ecosystems, making it critical for governments and private investors to expand funding opportunities, business training, and cross-border market access. Governments across Africa are increasingly recognizing the importance of youth empowerment in national strategies, with South Africa's National Development Plan 2030 placing strong emphasis on job creation, skills development, and entrepreneurship, while the African Union's Agenda 2063 calls for deeper investment in education, technology, and innovation as pillars of socio-economic transformation. Continental frameworks like the African Continental Free Trade Area open further opportunities by expanding markets for youth-led businesses and encouraging trade-driven growth that can generate millions of jobs. Key sectors such as agriculture, technology, healthcare, renewable energy, and the creative industries hold vast promise for youth employment and economic advancement. Agriculture still employs around 60% of Africans, and its modernization through digital platforms and agribusiness can create more sustainable livelihoods. The technology sector, especially fintech and digital services, is one of the fastest growing in the world and offers Africa's youth a chance to lead rather than follow. Healthcare, particularly telemedicine, responds to a growing demand for accessible solutions, while renewable energy projects in solar and wind open the door to millions of green jobs. Africa's creative economy in music, film, and fashion continues to gain international recognition, offering not only cultural expression but significant economic contribution. Africa's youth represent both the continent's greatest strength and its most urgent responsibility. When provided with quality education, relevant skills, and an environment that fosters entrepreneurship and innovation, they have the capacity to transform Africa into a hub of economic vitality and global competitiveness. The path forward requires collective action from governments, private actors, and international partners who must collaborate to create the conditions for young people to thrive. The choices made today will determine whether Africa's youth inherit a cycle of underemployment and frustration, or become the generation that secures prosperity and redefines the continent's role in the global economy. Career Indaba magazine, a timeless career legacy.